Hello, this video is going to teach you how to use your graduation audit, otherwise known as your DARS. So starting from your ASU portal, I'm going to show you how to launch it. You're going to click right under your major to where it says degree progress. And then your first option here is called graduation audit, parentheses DARS. We usually call it your DARS. If you click here, then you're going to click view your profile. And then finally, you're going to get to completed audit requests. You've already run one recently. It would be listed here along with the time and date. It's always good to run a fresh one, especially if you've made any changes to your schedule or finished any classes, anything along those lines. So to do that, you're going to run audit, which is this gold button. Then you're going to select run default programs. And it's sometimes hard to notice, but it is spinning up here and it takes a while to load. So if you feel like it might not be working, just be patient. It is running. Eventually it's going to update and you'll have a new view audit link down here to click on with the current date and time that it just ran. All right, I'm going to switch over to a PowerPoint and kind of walk you through what you're looking at. So once you get into the DARS, the very, very top of it is going to show some graphs like this. You'll see a pie chart and some bar graphs. The first thing to know is that these graphs are not necessarily useful to show you how far along you are. They are counting how many credits you've completed before, not how many are actually applicable to your degree. So if this is your second bachelor's degree, that means you've already completed at least 120 credits before. So your whole pie chart will show that you're finished. Fortunately, that's not necessarily the case towards this particular degree. So first things first, disregard these graphs. The next thing is, as you kind of scroll through this report, you're going to see that you might have some check marks if you already have some classes completed. If you have a class that you're currently registered for that's in progress, it's going to look more like this one down here, where you're going to see the green box with the 3 white dots. And then if you have anything that is outstanding, it will have a red X next to it. Okay, we're going to continue. So if you scroll a little bit down on your DARS, the first couple classes you're going to see that are actually credit-bearing courses are the ASU Experience, which is called ASU 101, and your English composition classes, which are normally called English 101 and 102. If you've already completed a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, it might look kind of like this example, where it's not really listing specific classes. It's just saying it's covered with a bachelor's or an associate's degree. That's fine. That means your requirements are satisfied. If you have taken enough credits, it might cover ASU 101 just because you have a significant amount of transfer credits. If that's the case, then you are not required to take ASU 101 here at ASU. However, if that area is still red, or if you still have a red X next to ASU 101, that means you do need to complete that class. If you have English 101 and 102 applying, then your whole area should be green. If not, then you would need to still take one or both of those classes. The next things you'll see are the literacy and critical inquiry areas. Now, you might have one or two of these covered if you have past credits. This student that I'm looking at, he has the lower Division I block transferred in because he has a bachelor's degree, but he doesn't have the upper Division I covered yet. Either way, though, you do not need to take anything to cover these classes, because at the very end of your program, you are going to take 2 senior design classes called EEE 488 and 489. Both of those classes, in addition to being required for your major, will also cover literacy and critical inquiry. So one more time, do not take any general studies classes specifically for literacy, because you do not need to worry about that requirement. It is already encompassed in your required content. Unfortunately, though, until you get to the end of your program, these areas will have a red X next to them, because it's these 2 classes that you're seeing here that's going to populate within those areas. Now, if you scroll down a little bit further, eventually you're going to get to this section right here that's called University General Studies Requirement, Humanities, Arts and Design, and Social Behavioral Sciences. This is the main general studies area that you need to focus on. You've probably scrolled past a few that might say something like General Studies science or general studies math. You do not need to take anything to satisfy those areas because you have more than enough math and science included in your electrical engineering degree to cover those areas. So you don't need to take anything extra. However, these areas right here, you wouldn't normally have general studies, social behavioral humanities included within an electrical engineering program, so you're not going to cover these with your other required courses for the most part. So if you are a brand new student, yours probably looks more like the one on the left, showing that you have 5 classes still outstanding, which totals up to 15 credits. And you are required to take one that has to be upper division. So the number 1 here that you see is upper division humanities or social behavioral. That means it can be either topic as long as it's upper division. Upper division is 300 or 400 level. Then for numbers 2 and 3, you need 2 of each. So you need 2 humanities classes. These ones can be lower division, which is 100 or 200 level. And then for number 3, you need 2 social behavioral classes. Now, the example here on the right is a student that's nearly finished with these requirements. So just a couple things to note here. First of all, it might look to you like they've taken way more than 5 classes, but if you look a little bit closer, you'll notice that some of them are showing up more than once. The reason for this is anytime you take an upper division class, it will apply under number 1 and also under numbers 2 or 3, depending on what subject they are, because if you think about it, an upper division humanities could be used for number 1, but it also could be used for number 2 because it's still a humanities. You could technically take all upper division courses for these requirements if you wanted to. That just wouldn't be common because those are usually more demanding courses. So because the student took 3 different upper division courses, they're all populating under number 1 because any of those 3 could be used for that spot right there. And then they're also going to populate under their corresponding areas below, which makes it look like they're getting credit for them twice. However, that is not the case. So if you take an upper division class and it goes to more than one area, which it always will, then just make sure that you're paying attention to the hours that you still need listed at the top, because that's always going to have your correct number. So for example, if I had an upper division class that applied multiple times, it might look like I have 5, but it would still say I only have 12 credits total and show you that you need 3 more hours. Okay? The other thing that you need to worry about when you're selecting your general studies classes is something called awareness areas. So if you scroll down on your DARS, I think it's 3 chunks, you're going to get to your general studies awareness areas, which look kind of like this. So there's 3 awareness areas called cultural, global, and historical. What you want to do is you want to strategically select your humanities and social behavioral classes so that they will double cover and also pick up any awareness areas you have outstanding. I said before that you cannot, get credit for a class twice if you're taking an upper division one and trying to also use it towards a lower division requirement, but you can cover your awareness areas and apply that same class towards your social behavioral or your humanities credits at the same time. So that is allowed and encouraged, so you don't have to take any extra classes. So if we look at this, this is the same student here showing that the awareness areas and which classes they use to cover them. If we go back and forth, you can see that every single awareness area class that they're using also applied to their general studies area. So for the first one, for example, if we look at his cultural diversity class, he took rap music and hip hop culture, which is called MUS 362. If we look back over here, we can see that that class is listed under one of the humanities courses that are applying. So that student searched and found a course that was both humanities and cultural, and then he used it for his humanities, and he also used it for cultural awareness. And the same class is showing up in both spots. And then if we look at his global, we can see that he took POS 150, that covers global. And if we look back here, it also covers social behavioral. POS 150 is listed there under his social behavioral courses. And then finally, he took CON 101, which covers historical awareness. And it also is a humanities class. You can see it applying under number 2 for humanities. All right, so when you are picking out your classes, especially if you're starting from the very beginning, as you go along, you want to make sure that when you're picking out social behavioral and humanities classes that you're not just selecting anything on the list. You want to specifically be picking ones that cover one or more awareness areas so that you don't run out of social behavioral and humanities that you need and still have an awareness area outstanding. In that case, you would need to take an additional class to satisfy that. Now, if you've transferred in several general studies classes already, so you only have 1 or 2 left that you still need to take, but you have not completed any awareness areas before, then you might want to specifically try to target one that covers multiple awareness areas. And that is possible, so I will show you with the course search how to find those classes. So let's quickly switch over to the class search. I do have a different tutorial that explains this in more detail, but just to kind of connect, when we're looking for a general studies class, we're always going to use the advanced search. So we click here. So let's say, for example, that I'm looking for an upper division, humanities and cultural. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go under the general studies. I'm going to click HU for humanities and C for cultural. And then if I want an upper division one, I'm going to go over to level and I'm going to click upper division. And notice in here, one of the options is MUS 362, rap music and hip hop culture. That's the same class that we saw before that student was using for upper division humanities and cultural. And if we look over here, it tells us that indeed that class satisfies HU and C. Now, maybe you don't need HU and C. Maybe you've already transferred in your cultural awareness, but you do need historical awareness. In that case, I can yank the C off, switch it to an H. And now if we look over here on the side, everything on my list is both a humanities and a historical, and I'm only showing upper division choices. If you don't need an upper division course or you're not looking for it right at this moment, you can switch this to show all of them, or you can switch it to show lower division only. Usually when you're doing your classes, your other classes aside from upper division, you want them to be lower division because they're a little bit less demanding. So that's a common way that you might want to search for your other 4 general studies classes. Also notice that sometimes they will have 2 awareness areas attached to them, like I mentioned. Usually historical and global are a pretty common pairing. So if you only have 2 general studies classes left to take and you still have all 3 awareness areas, you absolutely want to make sure one of the classes you take has 2 awareness areas attached to it. Or if you only have 1 general studies class left that you need to take, but you need 2 awareness areas, same thing, make sure that the one that you pick has 2. Also, one more thing that I didn't mention before, economics is a required class for your major, and economics does cover social behavioral. It does not cover, however, any awareness areas. So economics is listed on your DARS a little bit lower down, and this can also be used towards your social behavioral content. So if you still have 1 social behavioral or 2 social behavioral requirements that you need, make sure that you allocate space for econ, because if you do not, you'll still have to take econ in addition to your 2 social behavioral classes that you picked out. So both Econ 211 or 212 will work for your requirements. And if we look over here, you'll see that they are covering social behavioral as well, but not any awareness areas. So make sure that you make space for your awareness areas with your other SB and HU classes, and that one of your SB classes you save for Econ. So Econ 211 is macroeconomics and 212 is micro. You don't need to take both, you just need to pick one. Doesn't matter which one, and either one will also apply as a social behavioral class. All right, that is it for general studies. So we're going to switch back real quick to my PowerPoint. Okay, so if you were to scroll a little bit further down on your DARS, you will eventually get to electrical engineering 33 hours. Here's your econ requirement I just mentioned. So like I said, when you sign up for econ, it's going to populate here, and then it's also going to populate up a little bit higher under your general studies. And then moving forward, this pocket of classes is all of your math and science. The next one beneath that would be your lower division electrical engineering courses. And then the next one after that is all of your upper division electrical engineering classes. If you keep scrolling a little bit further, eventually you're going to get to the very end of your degree where it'll show you any unused credits. So if you have previous transfer credits that are not applicable to any of the areas we just covered, they will be down here. So this student has things like boxing, swimming, which makes sense. That's not a requirement for this major. However, if you do see something down here that you think should be applying to this major, make sure to check out my tutorial on the transfer credit guide, and that'll explain how you can have these classes evaluated further and hopefully get them applied within your DARS somewhere that we've already gone past. Okay, that's it for your degree audit report. This is an important tool, so make sure that you're comfortable looking through it and understand how to use it. And feel free to reach out to your advisor if you have any further questions. Thanks.